Hi, I'm Daz Smith. I'm the creator of a group called the Hellfire Club. Hellfire is a group of talented remote viewers that I've personally recruited to look at the strangest and weirdest mysteries using the skill of remote viewing. For those who don't know, remote viewing is an innate ability we all have to varying degrees, and it's intuition that can be honed over time, and when used under strict protocols, it can produce excellent information not otherwise known. Today, I want to share with you my actual remote viewing on an amazing topic from a recent blind project tasked to me and several other remote viewers, and I will also link to their sessions down below in the description. So I'm going to switch to a quick presentation in a second about this target and its background, and then we'll switch to yet another video which I produced for the project manager, where I went through my actual remote viewing session and all the data. Okay, so the project we're going to look today is remote viewing the Skinwalker Ranch and the Hitchhiker effect. Now this is the target that was given to me, and this was all blind at the time, but this is the feedback. And the only information I had on this target was the number at the top, which was 794965. But the tasking for this project was the Hitchhiker effect of Jonathan Axelrod from the Skinwalker Ranch. The tasking itself was the viewer will describe the so-called Hitchhiker effect related to Jonathan Axelrod and the way which this effect is passed on to others. They also had a series of subtasks on this, which were extra tasks they wanted us to look at as remote viewers. And number 1 was to describe the source of this phenomenon. Number 2 was to describe the purpose, reason of this effect. And number 3 was to describe the processes and mechanism which underlies this phenomenon. Now this is a lot for a remote viewer to get blindly within remote viewing, but I think I covered most of this in my RV data that you'll get to see just after this presentation. So some background to this project. Paranormal activity associated with UAPs or UFOs is not a new phenomenon. It definitely did not start with the Skinwalker Ranch and was in fact documented in the 1975 book by legendary Jacques Vallée, UFOs: The Psychic Solution. In this book it goes on to say, no theory of UFOs can be deemed acceptable if it does not account for the reported psychic effects produced by these objects. I refer to space-time distortions, descriptions of materializations, alien voices or thoughts, but I am especially referring to the fact that certain witnesses have been changed in a manner that is not explained by the events they claim to have observed. Going on to Skinwalker Ranch now. Skinwalker Ranch, was also known as the Sherman Ranch, is a property located in approximately 512 acres southeast of Ballard, Utah, and this is reputed to be the site of paranormal and UFO related activities. Its name is taken from the Skinwalker of Navajo legends concerning vengeful shamans. More details are on the ranch here. According to investigators Keller and Knapp in their book, they saw or investigated evidence of up to 100 incidents that include vanishing and mutilated cattle, sightings of unidentified flying objects or orbs, large animals with piercing red eyes that they say were unscathed when struck by bullets, and invisible objects emitting destructive magnetic fields. Now, more background on the history here. The Utes think that the Skinwalkers are powerful spirits that are here because of a curse that was put on them generations ago by the Navajos. And the center of this whole legend is the ranch. The Utes say the ranch is the path of the Skinwalker, and tribe members are strictly forbidden from setting foot on the property, and it's been that way for a long time. So let's have a look at the Hitchhiker effect itself here. The Hitchhiker effect. This is the feeling of bringing something home and the subsequent person-to-person transmissibility of paranormal phenomena, some of which can last for years, and this has been named the Hitchhiker effect. And this is from author Keller here in an article, Edgescience 50, June 2022, and I'll link to that article down below as well as a PDF for you to have a look at. Now, most people who spent more than a day on the Skinwalker Ranch brought something home with them from the property. The effect is almost universal and universally unpleasant. The reports of this same infectious phenomena have become so plentiful that it is now known as the hitchhiker effect. A man called Axelrod encountered an anomaly on the ranch that caused a lot of fear, but little did he know that this incident was only the beginning of his troubles. Within a month of arriving back home in Virginia, a plethora of paranormal phenomena suddenly erupted in Axelrod's home. For several years following his July 2019 and subsequent trips to the ranch, Axelrod's wife and teenage children were subjected to nightmarish dogmen appearing in their backyard, to blue, red, yellow and white orbs routinely floating through the home and in the yard, to black shadow people standing over their beds when they awoke, and to a relentless barrage of loud, unexplained footsteps walking up and down the stairs of their house. So, looking back here at the target details itself, that was the number at the top, 794965, and that's all I had to work on with this project because it was blind. But the tasking written down by the tasker Dimmy was the hitchhiker effect of Jonathan Axelrod from the ranch. The viewer will describe the so-called hitchhiker effect related to him and the way in which the effect is passed on to others. I would also try to describe the source of this phenomenon, to try to describe the purpose of this phenomenon, and try to describe the processes and mechanism which underlines the phenomenon. So that's it for the project background. What I'll do now is I'll switch to another video where I actually went through my remote viewing session data a couple of weeks after doing it with the project manager Dimmy. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll come back and ask your final questions on this. Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Okay, today I'm going to go through my RV session for the Hellfire group, and the target number for this was 794956, and the target itself was the hitchhiker effect of Jonathan Axelrod from Skinwalker Ranch. Describe the source of the phenomenon, describe the purpose and reason of the effect, and describe the processes and mechanism which underlies this phenomenon. If you don't know anything about the hitchhiker effect, have a look at it online. There's plenty of documents, books, and videos out there to describe this. It's essentially some kind of paranormal type UAP, UFO, esoteric kind of mysterious effect that follows people home from the Skinwalker Ranch and affects their life and transmits to other people around them, including their family. So let's get to my RV session. I'm going to go through this as fast as humanly possible here. So initially had impressions here straight off the bat of a powerful energetic release which felt like a spark of light. Had a white glowing orb of pulsating light in the dark sky, and this felt like a beacon or a message. Again, more energy here that surrounded a life form, an energetic event. Lots of energy here. It felt like it's white pulsating energy. It felt like it had an infrared capability to it, a frequency going on, and something to do with a time portal. And there was me trying to sketch this radiant, kind of glowing radiant light here, almost like an orb or a glowing ball of light. I had a life here, which is male, over 30. Felt kind of aggressive, or a military soldier feel to this person. Felt like this was a chance encounter, an event which had a spiritual component. Again, a complex event here. You can see a life form here with some kind of energy event around them. It felt almost like a message was being transmitted, or a communication. Moving on here, there's the life form again with this weird energy moving around them, almost like a chakra kind of caduceus kind of effect. It feels very Star Trek kind of materialized kind of thing. Lots of energy sparkles and interaction like energy. So it felt like a message or a communication with this man, an interaction. They were studying something about observing, scientific. There's also a layer of secretness to this, a veil of trying to hide something. And it also had some kind of like abduction kind of feeling coming in here. That's why I had the Travis Walton feel. A cross-border feel, feels like it's crossing time and space and dimensions. And that's the end of the first one. Moving on to the second session here. Again, energy, energetic, manufactured, which is high in the air and space. So here's the energy again, and it feels like a life down here, watching or involved in an energy event that was above him. Swirling energy which was in a vortex. There's me trying to describe this vortex thing, so it was almost like it's some kind of almost like a wormhole type thing. So it felt like an opening feel to this, a tunnel or gateway, a feeling of movement through time and space, and this felt like a portal. So I tried to move to the key target data here, which was the life form itself, and it looks like it's a life form being surrounded by bright energy, a life energy interaction. The life itself was fearful and scared, wide-eyed, frantic, and he was male. A sense of feeling of running or trying to get away, being caught and captured in this. So he felt like he was captive, felt like he was suspended, raised, hovered above ground, and it feels like this was in a natural location. There's a time element here, and it changes or slows down and stops, which is manipulated. It's manipulated by energy, and it's a byproduct of the energy. Time here feels very fluid and manageable, and it flows in two directions. So there's a lot about time in this as well, but I haven't got time to go through it because I'm doing a really fast overview. So this feels very different tech, but not UAP. It felt very strange and mythical fable feel to this. Something magical going on here, and again an AOL over a time slip. And I also felt like something was missing or being hidden from me here, being obscured from me. I tried to ask what to see past it, and I felt that this was all to do with an interaction. It was scary, horrific and scarring, and it gave a PTSD feel to the life forms involved. This was all about a dark space with a red light and a glow, and it had an experimentation feel to the whole kind of thing here. Felt like this was an abduction experimentation feel, an action against a life form here. There's an incapacitated life form which is led down. He's being examined and probed. He's fearful and very scared. And it feels like a fluid or gel-like substance that's inserted orally into his mouth, which chokes him a little bit. Very sterile taste. So it feels like someone's actually being, going through what appears to be a typical UAP abduction experience here. Moving on here, I asked who, and it's a life. He's wiry, strong. He's male. Thin odor, and there's an esoteric mindful presence here. Feels like he's strong in the force, so he has some psychic ability here. Then moving on to the next session here, talking about the male here, he has a depression from this. He has health problems. He has an irradiated feel, and this is because of exposure to the energy and light. So the changes I see, his body, negative changes. There's something to do with weight, something internal in the bones. His spirit has changes. He's kind of like got a new slow emergence and expansion to things bigger than himself. And in his mind, he's got some PTSD, some fear, depression, and this is all to do with retaliation against what happened to him. So looking at the life form here, here's some damage here, skin and hair feels weaker, got some confusion, cloudy-headed, thoughts. There's something about his internals, and they feel impacted by the vibration and frequency. Spiritually, he's going through a metamorphosis. Mind feels confused with PTSD. He's got like a survivor syndrome. His bones feel more brittle. It feels like he has a urinary or bowel issues for a while, and long time digestion problems from all this. So, he's got some damage from all this. The life feels bodily affected, for the most negatively from the event and experience. This does feel like a greater spiritual realization that is positive, but there's also a mental damage like PTSD or a deep-rooted survivor hostage mentality that has a negative depressive feel. 6 months later, he still feels down, depressed and frustrated, and it feels like something is missing here, something lost and obscured. I think this is to do with memories, so I think some memories have been taken away from him of these events. 2 years later, I'm looking at him, he's slightly more positive. He's found a crack or something positive. General health has suffered, still has effects, feels like a radiation or energy damage, and this feels multi-leveled. 5 years on, very much more positive, so he's growing in positivity as this goes, so it becomes a positive experience for him. And this is a slow burn of a realization which is empowering for him. The tasker asked me to answer a question, could the changes have been prevented? And I had the feeling, no, not in this situation. It's all to do with a larger plan that's already happened. I looked at other stuff here, like tunnel portal data, and tried and follow it through the other end. It felt like it was a geometric fractal feel, which was mathematical, a kind of folded space or angular time feel. folded space energy, almost like an envelope feel to this. This feels like a different place or dimension. The air is different, everything looks deserted, blurred, stretched in height and blurry or less solid. There's life there, there's shadow-like, less physical. There's more frequency and sound, more vibration, which is higher in pitch and tone. They are non-physical, non-human in form, and they are loosely human-shaped but not defined. Almost wispy or ghost-like, like smoky shadows. These feel friendly, but they're surprised that I'm there watching and seeing this, and they can feel and see me. And they are male and female, and their world looks like migraine flashes. Interesting data there. I asked why are they here or why there. Did something to do about a plan in testing and communication, reaching out. They have goals, plans, operations, something complex, long-term, large-scale. Feels very organised and a very official feel to all this. Hiding something here. Felt like there was a power, a space, an ability, zones or areas or crossover points, almost like a fledgling ability in humans, and some are connected. It feels like we're connected to a grid system like a matrix. I asked the matrix of what, and it got back doors, pathways, systems, dimensions, portals, a complex web of space, a mesh-like moving organism, universe-wide, which is living and expanding, and it's like a grid, functional space-time that humans could access in some way. That gave me the impression here of WTF, as it would. So a wave-like sea of rippling energy in a carpet of interconnected space and dimensions, and it's vast, huge, and it covers everything. So moving on here to this, my final session on this, which is another retask, and I was asked to get more data on my page 16 data. So I got a life male. He's led encouraged by two smaller beings, one each side holding his arms. Primary life feels in a semi-state or a trance. They walk him or encourage him in a direction, like he's being led by little children. There's a weird sketch there of a person being led by smaller people. This I wrote here, this is going to sound very E.T.-like, but this, the smaller life feels small, thin, nimble, simplistic, and wort-like. They have a smooth appearance everywhere, smooth, tight skin, which feels like it has an overstretch feel to it, and they smell of cinnamon. The primary life is not in an awake state. It's like he's being anaesthetized but open-eyed. He's led by into a small domed grey room, and there's a square bed-like surface which he's encouraged to lie down on, and this is done mentally. The two smaller life have a mental hold and connection with the primary. There's a sketch here of the domed room, the life laying down, and one of these little life above him. Everything feels curved surfaces, and very modern looking. So the life are moving around, the horizontal male, checking mouth, eyes, nose and ears. Then they rub the stomach area, then they use a screen-like device, which is dull, metallic and smooth. Feels like he has an adverse reaction to this and chokes or coughs. This feels like a medical study of some kind. He is naked, but I can't see his clothes anywhere. Later he is dressed and encouraged back through a doorway of light. It feels like they all move through an energy shield or similar, like a thick energy blanket. I'm just trying to look here, moving ahead for the life. He's got mental issues, cloudy, confused, bad sleep patterns and nightmares, sporadic memory or broken memory, and lots of medical issues here. He says here he feels bad, he has a body reaction to this experience, and he has depression. I also get the feeling that a seed has been planted that needs time to grow, and it will take several years for it to fully happen, and this is a mental seed here. This also feels like a single part in a chain of connected events, alters a pathway in time and space, and it's like they're creating an intentional divergence. I get a subtle feeling of energy, of manipulation of timelines and interaction in these timelines. It feels like they're growing people, or they're moving people along step paths and destinies. And I got words here: sender, genetic, and manipulation. It feels like there may be a later child involved in this as well. So this all points to the future, a manipulation now for the future. And then I had all these weird things like demons, goblins, succubus, angels, and I think that's in relation to these little grey being things here. I get a later sense of loss or death to this, like a preparation for the afterlife. I was quite confused at this point because it seemed to be going off on a tangent. Final data here, this is the very fairy tale feel to this. Like, this has a part in human history and culture. This feels like a life who will go on to change things by his actions after it's been assimilated internally by him. This internal process is intentionally slow and takes years, but this is also damaging in some regards, and I think this is physically damaging. So more details here, sorry about that. Chain of events, explore, separate over time, indoctrination. This is about a change subtly and slowly. A change of attitudes and social global consciousness. A sense over time allowing us or humans to become more self-aware of ourselves and a larger picture so that we're not so selfish. Some details about evolution here. You can have a look at that in detail there. I don't know what this is all about, but I'm looking at it anyway. So some kind of weird pattern here. This feels like a visual and a 3D virtual showing a progression over time and space with key intersection points, times in human history which are encouraged or manipulated. So I think this is something I was actually seeing at the time, some kind of 3D kind of concept they were trying to show me. I get a sense of a journey and that the life feels like us didn't start off here. We were carried here across the vast distance of time and space, something like a cocoon. Very seed-like, we're one of many planted and grown kind of cultures. And something about they alter time and space, and I asked who benefits from this, and the answer came out that we all do. Finally here, okay, I see a web being shown like a map, but it's huge and vast. A matrix, a web across universes and dimensions in a holographic 3D kind of situation. A network of linked points. This is their garden, and we are part of their seeding. A vast, interconnected, diverse community of life in all forms. It's like they are gardener gods. The scale was vast, and their commitment to the work is vast. So who benefits? I get asked again. Everything eventually benefits in time, came back the reply. And this is just some final notes here. So this is very interesting. Like, I've been allowed to glimpse a larger universal plan. They're communicating all this, and they know I'm connected and aware of this. I'm watching it. There's an overall feeling of peace, serenity, and understanding. Kind of bordering on a universal love feeling coming from these people. There's no anger, no selfishness, no animosity, no fear, no darkness that's being transmitted at all. Just peace, enlightenment, wonder, fulfillment, and a sense of community in place. So that's it really. That's my session on the Hitchhiker effects and what I got was happening. So that's it, condensed into 5 to 10 minutes. Take care. Thank you. So there it is. And what do you think? I think I presented some really interesting information on this that seems to indicate that there's some interaction by some non-human entities into the life of people investigating Skinwalker Ranch and the people in general. Let me know your comments down below and let me know your thoughts and theories on this as well. Also, have a look at the information that I've provided down below. There's links to the article there, there's links to the other remote viewing sessions, and there's links to my paper-based remote viewing session on this as well, so you can take it away and have a look yourself. Take care, see you next time.